Could our small collection of 1,000 coins truly change our lives? That's precisely what I've been looking into, and the figures I've discovered are fascinating and startling. Let's begin with the first possibility, which is the introduction of megabanks. In this situation, the entire banking market is severely impacted by XRP. Currently, the SWIFT network is primarily used by banks to transfer about $150 trillion annually. Consider that if XRP managed just 10% of that, $15 trillion would be passing through the system. The XRP ecosystem would require enormous liquidity to make this work. Consider that $5 trillion worth of XRP is locked up to ensure seamless transfers. When those figures are combined with XRP's fixed supply, an amazing potential price of about $83 per coin is revealed. Yes, each XRP is worth $83. Theoretically, if you had 1,000 coins, your collection may increase from about $2,000 to over $83,000. That's converting cryptocurrency into a brand new luxury vehicle. Thus, it's simple to understand why this situation makes everyone's heart race. Let's take a moment to examine scenario 2, which is the moderate takeover. Although it doesn't control SWIFT, XRP is still a major player in international trade, corporate transfers, remittances, and other activities, with an annual total of over $200 trillion. $10 trillion would be flowing over the network if XRP were to take even 5% of this market. Approximately $2 trillion worth of XRP may be required as system liquidity, and this might result in an XRP price of around $33. That's about $33,000 for $1,000 coins, which is still a significant 17x rise over the $2,000 of today. Although it's not as drastic as the $83 scenario, it seems more plausible and doable if XRP acceptance in international finance continues to rise. The reserve asset, or scenario 3, comes last. Instead of being utilized for each and every transaction, XRP serves as a reserve or liquidity backstop for banks in this situation. Imagine 1,000 large banks each storing $500 million in XRP for cross-border transactions. That comes to almost $500 billion in worldwide XRP reserves. This results in an XRP price of roughly $8 when distributed throughout the circulating supply, so your 1,000 XRP would be worth $8,000. More than quadrupling your current investment, but not nearly the thrill of a Lamborghini. Although this scenario is conservative, it is realistic if XRP is not the primary payment mechanism, but rather one of many instruments utilized by banks. You may be wondering why the figures vary from $8 to $83. Velocity, or how frequently XRP is utilized for transactions, is the crucial element. Because fewer tokens are required at any given time, if XRP travels swiftly between banks and payment providers, price pressure may be lessened. More XRP must be locked up to manage the same volume if coins are idle, which creates scarcity and raises the price. Before we continue, a brief disclaimer is necessary. I do not provide financial advice. This video does not contain any financial advice. You risk lose your investment in cryptocurrency due to its extreme volatility. Before making decisions, always conduct your own research and get advice from an expert. This video is solely meant to be educational and entertaining. Here we simplify complicated cryptocurrency concepts. Useful information. In the first section, we looked at 3 potential futures for XRP: the reserve asset scenario, the mild takeover, and the adoption by megabanks. They all offered us a range of possible values for your 1,000 XRP, from $8 to $83 per coin. Let's now examine why these figures differ so greatly and what factors actually affect XRP's possible price. Let's start with a crucial idea: velocity. Speed in finance and cryptocurrency describes the frequency with which a single XRP coin is used for transactions over a specific time frame. Consider it this way: $10 worth of trade is made possible by a single dollar if it is exchanged 10 times in a day. The amount of XRP required at any given time decreases as it passes through banks and payment networks more quickly. On the other hand, more tokens must be locked up to handle the same volume of transactions if XRP is idle in wallets or vaults. Because of this, the price soars to $83 in our megabank adoption scenario, with substantial liquidity held in reserve. The price is substantially lower, at about $8 per coin, in the reserve asset scenario, where XRP is employed effectively and velocity is strong. Since velocity explains the vast array of possible outcomes, it is essential to understand it. The same tokens can handle more transactions if banks regularly employ XRP for cross-border payments, which lowers the demand for idle XRP and limits price pressure. However, scarcity raises the price if XRP is locked up in reserves and not being used. In essence, velocity is the wild card that, depending on how adoption proceeds, can drastically alter the value of XRP. Let's now compare these figures to our own cryptocurrency stacks. Although scenario 1 is very positive, it may be a bit short-term unrealistic. The second scenario seems more realistic. It is predicated on consistent adoption rather than dominance. The third scenario is cautious and depicts a believable situation in which XRP quadruples your investment without displacing international banking. Investor excitement over the moonshot is understandable, but in order to prevent overexposure, it's equally critical to take into account moderate and conservative scenarios. There are lesser events that could eventually increase your XRP holdings in addition to these adoption scenarios. For example, you can passively earn cryptocurrency with programs like Unity nodes. You can turn extra cell phones into tiny nodes that enable a decentralized mobile network using Unity nodes. You receive cryptocurrency prizes in exchange, which may be redeemed for well-known coins like ADA, XRP, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. In essence, you're repurposing outdated gadgets to generate revenue. It's a long-term approach that might not make you wealthy right away, but it can gradually grow your cryptocurrency holdings while maintaining your attention on valuable assets like XRP. My own purchase of a Unity Node NFT allows me to link up to 200 devices to the network. To see how it functions in real life, I've started with a short test of roughly 10 phones. It is possible to scale up if the results are favorable. My XRP holdings are not replaced by this side tactic. It enhances them. I can expand my cryptocurrency holdings and be ready for future surges in XRP or other significant coins by creating modest but consistent revenue streams. Securing access to trustworthy exchanges is a practical advice. Exchanges may become overwhelmed, halt, or postpone withdrawals during a significant bull market. I've tested withdrawals and completed KYC on several reliable exchanges to make sure I have backup plans. Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C enable me to take swift action in the event that XRP usage spikes and I require liquidity. You shouldn't let unplanned downtime prevent you from taking advantage of opportunities. Lastly, promotions from elite exchanges are worth highlighting. For instance, within 30 days of registering, anyone who trade $100 in cryptocurrency, excluding stablecoins, can receive 25s in XRP thanks to my affiliate arrangement with Kraken. These kinds of offers are a simple yet effective method to support the channel and increase your XRP holdings without paying more. Even if these actions, Unity nodes, varied exchanges, and modest bonuses might not seem like much on their own, when taken as a whole, they might gradually improve your cryptocurrency position. As we continue to investigate XRP's possibilities, keep in mind that while the wild figures between $8 and $83 are conceivable, reality will probably land somewhere in the center. Staying grounded while navigating these options is made easier by having a solid understanding of adoption, velocity, and strategic planning. We discussed adoption possibilities, XRP's velocity, and how to expand your cryptocurrency stack using side tactics like Unity nodes. Let's now turn our attention to what is truly taking place in the real world. Technology advancements, collaborations, and how these actions may influence XRP's uptake and pricing prospects. XRP is more than just a cryptocurrency. It serves as a link between crypto and conventional finance. The business that created XRP, Ripple, has been aggressively collaborating with banks, payment processors, and treasury management companies worldwide in recent years. These collaborations are crucial because they confirm that XRP is a practical instrument in actual finance, not merely a virtual currency that people exchange for speculation. There is genuine demand for XRP when a large bank chooses to utilize it to settle international payments, and this can have a direct impact on price movement. Companies like G-Treasury, Hidden Road, and Rail are a few noteworthy collaborations. These partnerships and acquisitions are more than simply publicity gimmicks. These are calculated actions to broaden Ripple's network to include corporate settlements, global liquidity management, and treasury services. Every partnership is an example of possible real-world volume passing via XRP, which may be relevant to the previously described scenarios. For instance, we get closer to the mega bank adoption scenario where $83 per coin becomes feasible if these businesses all begin processing billions of dollars in XRP payments. Technology is also very important. One of XRP's main advantages over more antiquated systems like SWIFT is its network, which is renowned for its speed and cheap transaction costs. Because XRP can complete transactions in seconds as opposed to days and charges fees that are a fraction of those of existing systems, banks and payment providers are drawn to it. Imagine transferring millions of dollars across borders in a matter of minutes as opposed to hours, all without having to worry about soaring fees. Adoption can be accelerated by this efficiency alone. Quicker transactions also lessen the requirement for system-wide liquidity, which affects the velocity and supply dynamics of XRP. The clarity of regulations is another crucial element. Complying with local regulations is one of the difficulties facing any cryptocurrency asset in banking. In order to explain XRP's status in different jurisdictions, Ripple has worked on agreements and litigation for years. Banks are more likely to implement XRP widely as institutional confidence rises with increased regulatory clarity. News regarding alliances, court rulings, or new regulations can therefore have a big influence on market mood and adoption. It's also important to remember that XRP is not the only competitor. Cross-border payments and business use cases are also the focus of other cryptocurrencies and stablecoins. However, XRP has a distinct posture because to Ripple's early focus, strategic alliances, and technology, it stands out for its ability to deliver quicker and less expensive transactions while integrating smoothly with the current financial infrastructure. Because of this, even little adoption might greatly increase the value of your property. It is essential for individual investors to comprehend these trends. Although hypothetical estimates such as 83 per coin are intriguing, partnerships, adoption, and practical use are what will truly propel XRP in that direction. Instead of depending only on hype, you may make well-informed decisions by keeping an eye on corporate adoption, treasury services integrations, and payment network extensions. Lastly, these practical advancements connect to the speeds and circumstances we discussed before. Every new collaboration or advancement in technology has the potential to boost XRP's use or alter its market dynamics. Demand rises with quicker adoption, but prudent liquidity management can control price surges. Because they indicate the possibility of long-term growth rather than only short-term speculation, these indicators are the most important ones for anyone holding 1,000 XRP or more. Tracking XRP's actual impact is crucial even as we envision game-changing values. Regulation, technology, corporate treasuries, and banks all contribute to making hypothetical situations a reality. It's not only numbers on a screen that make up your crypto stack. In the coming years, cross-border payments may be redefined due to their connection to a growing financial ecosystem. We looked at XRP's technology benefits, partnerships, and practical usage. Let's now turn our attention to ETF introductions, market catalysts, and how investor behavior may have a big impact on XRP's price in the upcoming months. If you are serious about developing a robust cryptocurrency portfolio, it is imperative that you comprehend these variables. The introduction of spot ETFs is currently one of the main drivers of XRP. Spot ETFs own the real underlying asset XRP as opposed to futures-based ETFs, which are based on derivative contracts. This implies that investors who purchase these ETFs are directly boosting the demand for XRP. The market may experience significant purchasing pressure when institutional investors, hedge funds, and individual consumers begin to pour money into spot ETFs. This is precisely what happened with other significant cryptocurrency assets, but because XRP's liquidity is more limited, the effect might be considerably more noticeable. Price activity is only one aspect of the excitement surrounding ETFs. Validity is another. A spot XRP ETF's approval by the SEC and other authorities indicates that XRP is a respected and legitimate asset class. Institutional investors may now feel comfortable joining the market after being reluctant to own XRP directly because of regulatory worries. Price growth may be multiplied by this combination of legitimacy and more demand, particularly if bank adoption proceeds concurrently. The actions of investors also have a significant impact. Short-term price fluctuations in cryptocurrency marketplaces are frequently more influenced by sentiment than by fundamentals. While negative news or regulatory uncertainty can create similarly quick drops, news about collaborations, technology advancements, or exchange-traded funds, ETFs, can cause large rallies. This means that it's critical for XRP owners to distinguish between transient excitement and actual acceptance. The people that gain the most are typically long-term investors who keep up with adoption patterns and regulatory certainty. Liquidity and token distribution are other market factors to take into account. Although there is a lot of XRP available, institutional investors, long-term holders, and Ripple own the majority of it. The market may see sharp price hikes if demand suddenly spikes as a result of bank adoption or ETF inflows, although a sizable amount of XRP is locked or liquid. For this reason, some of the estimates we covered earlier, such as $33 or $83 per coin, are based on both consumption and